Welcome to part 2 of our repair and retouch exercise. The next step that we're going to take is take a look at our photograph and see what else that we could fix to improve this photograph. Something I'm noticing down here in the lower right-hand corner is we have what looks like water leaking from possibly the radiator of this car, which is kind of unsightly. So in part 1 of the tutorial, we used the clone stamp tool to fix some blemishes. So we'll use the clone stamp tool again. If you remember, if you hold down Option, we'll get this target where we can click to designate a sampling spot for sampling pixels that we'll paint. So if I were to simply start painting to try to remove this water, I would be painting into the shadow here, which is not what we want to do. We want it to look natural. We want to keep that shadow there. So in order for us to isolate just the area that we want to paint and leave the shadow alone, we're going to create a selection. To create the selection, we're going to grab the Quick Select tool. The Quick Selection tool is the 4th tool down in your toolbar. I'm going to click on that. And I'm just going to click once on this shadow. So remember, the Quick Selection tool will select pixels within a certain range depending on where we have clicked, where our tool has sampled from. And in this case, the tool recognizes that I want this whole shadow selected because they're all about the same color, the same type of pixels. So we have the shadow selected. What we want to do, though, is invert this selection. So we will be painting inside the selection of the cement down here. Let's go up to the Select menu and choose Inverse. So now we have inverted that selection, and now it's actually everything else except for the shadow that is selected. I'm going to go back to the toolbar and grab my clone stamp tool. I'll make it a little bigger with the right-hand bracket. I'm going to hold Option down, and I'm going to click just below the tire on the pavement. So Option click will be sampling pixels from there, and then I'm just simply going to click and paint. Notice once I get toward the top here, I'm actually sampling pixels from the shadow at this point. That's okay, we can fix that. I'll just redesignate a spot to sample pixels. I'm going to hold down Option and click just below this portion that I'm going to fix here. There we go. So I've removed the water and I haven't touched the shadow. I'm going to hit Command D to deselect. So let's do the same thing on the roof line here where we have fading going on. I'm going to hold down Spacebar Command to zoom in, and then Spacebar to move around a little. So in order to isolate the roof, so we're not painting roof into the sky, let's use the polygonal lasso tool. So that's over in the lasso menu from the toolbar. Click and hold on the lasso tool, and you'll get the flyout menu to choose polygonal lasso tool. So if you remember from lab, when we use this tool, we just simply click once and we'll have this little kind of line segment following us. So this is how we can create straight line selections quite easily. So I'm going to click and follow the roof line, and then it doesn't really matter the shape that we make below. We just want to give enough room so we can paint the fading area away. So remember, with this tool, when we hover over our beginning point, we'll see a little circle next to our tool that tells us that we've come back where we started. We can click, and that will create the selection and end these lines that we're creating. So I have the roof selected. We've got the roof line selected. Let's go back and get our clone stamp tool. And I'm going to Option click just below, kind of down to the left of the area that I'm going to paint. Option click, and I'm just going to click and paint to fix the top of this roof. I'm going to make it look a little more realistic and Option click a couple random spots here. Just mix it up a little bit. And when I'm done, I'm going to invert the selection again. I notice that there's a little bit of that fading spot in the sky as well. So I'm going to go up to the select menu and choose inverse. So now the sky is selected instead of our original selection on the roof. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller with the left-hand bracket key. And I'm going to option click up in the sky and paint. And you can see as I paint, I'm going off the artboard with my target spot. That's okay. I can pick a new target spot by option clicking and kind of blend this in. There we go. Command D to deselect and Command 0 to fit our artboard to our window so we can take a look at what we've done. So this is looking pretty good. I don't see any more spots that we'll need to repair. It's time to retouch this red cast that we can see on the photograph. So to fix this red cast, let's go up to the image menu at the top. And let's choose Adjustments and Levels. Image Adjustments Levels will give us this dialog box. Here we can see the distribution of the levels of RGB. We're going to set a gray point. Setting a true gray point on this photograph is going to kind of force the rest of the image to remove any any red cast as well. If we're setting that true gray point, we're removing red cast from the gray, which applies that to the rest of the photograph too. So in order to set a true gray point, we're going to go over here to the right-hand side of this levels dialog box, and we're going to choose the center eyedropper. If you hover over it, it will tell you that you're going to sample in the image to set a gray point. So let's click on that. You can also set a black point or a white point, but I think easiest for this photograph, I can see a gray down here by her sunglasses that would probably be a good idea to sample from. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over here and click once. You can see now that that gray cast has been removed now that we set that true gray point. I can click the preview button on and off if I want to see, kind of toggle between the change and the original. And I'll click OK. So this photograph is just about done. One thing that I would like to do, I can see the green plants and the grass look a little bit dead. Let's go over and grab our lasso tool, just our regular freeform lasso tool, and let's just click and create a selection of this grass in the bottom left corner here. I'm going to go up to the image menu again and go to Adjustments, and let's choose Hue Saturation. Okay, the Hue Saturation dialog box should come up, and I'm going to pull the hue slider to the right. You can see the change it's making. It's making the grass nice and green. And I'm going to pull the lightness down just a little bit so it's not quite so bright. And choose OK when it looks somewhat realistic. Command D to deselect. And I think we need to change the grass in the background as well and the plants to match the front. So go ahead and with your lasso tool, make a selection there as well. Go back up to your image menu, Adjustments, Hue Saturation. So again, I'm going to pull the hue to the right till I get some nice green grass and the lightness down just a little bit so we can tone it down. And click OK, and Command D will deselect. So I noticed that I have a little bit, an area here and on the front grass where I kind of failed to select with the lasso tool. So I'm going to fix that with the clone stamp tool. This is something that you can do too if you had the same issue. I'm just going to option click on the green part of the grass and kind of fill in this area here that I didn't select. You can see the difference. It's so much greener where we fixed it. Okay, Command 0. I guess I'm already at Command 0. I've got my artboard fit to the window and everything looks good. I guess I'll hit Command minus so we can take a few steps back and take a look. So that completes part 2 of our Repair Retouch exercise tutorial. Thanks for listening.